Okay. Dele. Orgyen Jin Yonsam, Bimma Kesser Dombola, Yansen Chogung Drini, Bimman Johnny Hisato, Cordon Kandroman Cheji Jis Dodrip. Angela Pies Sungorpe Massa the home. Doctor Tin the Java Zambala, get on you and Seva Ganyan, don't that pampi something you. Trahi Dele person so barrio. Control sang de he zava some zalong tuli rong yang xiong chup sang o rong yang tu ji jungle. Xiong che nimbe bar de xiap san che control sang de he zava some zalong tuli rong yang xiong chup sang o rong yang tu ji jungle la xiong che nimbe bar de xiap san che control sang de he zava Zalong tuli rong yang xiong che sang o rong yang tu ji jungle la xiong che nimbe bar xiap san che ho na so no wa che de zhen ri jin korwa la ga je dan chang rong ri wo sa rin sa nga so che chen mi ye ye ngo ne sem pi to ho na so no wa che de zhen ri jin korwa la ga je dan chang rong ri wo sa rin sa nga chen mi ye ye ngo ne sem pi to ho na so che de zhen ri jin korwa la ga je dan chang rong ri wo sa rin sa nga so Chime yoyongon ne seme he to tanke tuje hyoche riksan to yanjin mada da japonya. Sirje lumbo dawa japo ke hyoche jarbo chela sorvande jagar pension pola karan chepe mani tong kolan di tong. Tarta lon sumbu kananzo Orgyen rumbo chela sorvande zonlin zepe jandu chonyi to tuje long to nyan bantanga. Nokto tamba bipe to yujen korndi chuko topolon chen patme oze shabla sorvande shisha kanchan rola jitsend. Tume oze yon tuterenzo wasalon chen namki nanjurpa jime limbe shabla sorvande shita jarvo sipo hiwa. Nota trupo hyu hiwa ra songan poncho dunga rondrung. Jime chujon bo sorvande shoman chuje inje poroni tu son sonje kanjung ngoro. Rong sen chu ke ngang so tan ze pe za wu la ma nam la so wan de da son ro lo na chu la yer sa ye pu chu shu shi me to tam ra lin yi ni di jen ban de song ji xing de mi de pro wa yan ro ka nam da xing xu ba xiu o ma ho ni ye men de zong bon de per vi xiong che lang la par che men jong shi tu san de xi gong par to ba Sapa mantra kiwa mani ki nam kardonyan bandra na drva hyo sambye nam je samba thong loye hidra chita. Chishon tammo tepa ye chujan kolo gorda zo drva nam kardonyan semchen tamchi tendila nami pa yon topa zopu sonji ju kompon rum. Gopa xia nyam de hyong chon cho de tu ye te sembar xia gong hi sembar xia wa chujan rumban. I want to say good morning, and I hope everybody is there. And me, I only see there's some cameras and computers, that's all. But it's, you are there. And also, I want to say it's like this is a great privilege to be the front of the you and talking about the genuine the advice of the peerless teacher who is the Buddha Shakyamuni. And generally speaking, Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, there is two kind of categories. Like his own teaching and like doctrines, and then his disciples made a commentary. They're kind of the two type of the Buddha's teaching, and then there's also Buddha's teaching. It itself also is like two. One is that we call the sutta, and like a more basic, more like kind of the first and like kind of the basic how we apply to be like same as Buddha himself, and the preparation of the beginning, and of course at the same times the main, and also it's like more deeply conclusions, and this is like kind of the more, and we call the basic suttas, and then second is we call the mantrayanas. Maybe it's like a more sharp faculties point view, and how we can apply like quickly to be same as the Buddha himself, and like more direct, more like kind of the realities, and like this. And then according these two teachings, of course there is the more different commentaries, and presently what we are studying, it text is called the Word of My Perfect Teacher, and the author of this, like the composer, who is the great master of the Patrul Rinpoche, and that this biography you know very well, and this commentary, it is of course itself has the main three chapters, and first is like ordinary preliminary practice. It is like kind of the common preliminary practice. It is like kind of the goals for the sutta and the theta, both the point of view, or the point of view, it's a very much necessary, and we call the like common preliminary practice, and that has 6 chapters already we studied, and also it's like a kind of the reminders what are these 6 chapters, and it's very important. I think you remember everything's 100% sure, and when you remember, for example, first chapter, how to obtain the human existence, and this time is we are obtaining a perfect human being, and we should to be glad, happy, and when we are concerned with this extraordinary achievement of the human existence, and then we need a little bit more analyze. Maybe it is how we can to continue to be human being, and also it's like getting better and better. Then we need to make the meaningful human existence. And of course, when we obtain the human existence, it is not forever. And the second chapters like demonstrating about the impermanent, and impermanent is the realities in the relative perspective. Everything is impermanent, momentary nature, instantaneously everything is disappeared. Therefore our body, speech, mind is, and the presently very healthy, everything is correct perfectly. We cannot to be lazy. We need to do something for the next coming life, because it's like impermanent, it's like same as our shadow, all the times nearby. When it's like kind of the to attack to us, we don't know, uncertainties, and also it's like occurred impermanent afterwards, where we need to go. and it's how do you say, and this third chapter to say the, and we need to go the 6 realms. And when we analyzed the 6 realms, we call the defects of the samsara. Of course, there are the 6 realms wherever we go. Almost it is like kind of the without sufferings. There's like kind of the pervaded sufferings. And we need to go out of this and like this. Also, it's a samsara is nobody's created. Samsara is without cause, no existence. Samsara is cause, samsara is created ourselves. And also it's like kind of the samsara comes from the negative actions. And because like according the causalities, it's like kind of the inevitable. Whatever we do, the negative things, automatically samsaras appear. And therefore these 4 reminders, it is the very important our minds to turn towards and to the like kind of the towards for the enlightened. Maybe like our mind to turn from the samsara, and then it's like mind need towards to the enlightenment. And like this, and then it's like the 50 chapters, we say it's like kind of the beneficial, the qualities of the liberation. And of course, it's like we be Zen level of the Buddha and extraordinary. When we understood that, there's the questions, can we achieve same level of the Buddha? Absolutely, in the because it's the like fundamental or the like dynamic in the mental mind. It's the same as the Buddha, and that is the Buddha himself to replied to his student. And basically, all the sentient beings is the mind is same in the nature of the perspective. And whoever apply on their own path, any kind of beings can become the Buddha. If we do not allow the apply, of course, then there is a different Buddha and sentient beings. And therefore, it is everybody can to be the enlightenment. In order to be enlightenment, of course, how we be enlightenment, we need a skillful teacher, skillful guide. That is we call the spiritual friend. And that is the 6th chapter. These 6 chapters, I think, is like some time to time we need to like kind of remind ourselves. It is like kind of the common preliminary practice. When we are practice sutta or then the mantrayanas, it is necessary to have into our minds. Why? Because our minds, it is like very much adaptable, and it's like unstable, and it is like kind of the very difficult belief and some positive things, and it has such negative behaviors, characteristics. And when his mind is doing the negative things, happy, courage, diligently, we don't need to analyze it, automatically is embarked. And in that perspective, we do some positive things. All the times hesitate and like kind of the laziness, postpone, and a lot of problems. And therefore, and in order to mind turn towards or the direction of the be enlightenment and the common preliminary practice, some time to time we need to read to remind our own self like this. And then it's like inner preliminary practice or the extraordinary preliminary practice. That is like kind of the part of the actually to apply our enlightened path. and now we call the extraordinary preliminary practice itself also like kind of the 5 chapters, and then is there like a Refuge, Bodhicitta, Vajrasattva, Mandala, so on. And now it's like the first and the chapter, or the like kind of the guide about the taking refuge, the foundation stone of the old liberation path. That is the last time we studied. I think it's like everybody knows. Almost I don't need to remind us. And of course, when we study the how to take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, how it is important to take the refuge Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. If you take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, how much benefit, how much qualities, and also it's like through that how we can to realize it, to nature the realities, like a kind of the unavoidable, and without taking refuge we cannot to become enlightenment, and therefore the taking refuge is the foundation stones. All the any vows, path, practice, all the dharma activities, first time goes the taking refuge, like instructions. And also, of course, you know the qualities of the Buddha, qualities of the Dharma, qualities of the Sanghas. And then it's like now you are determined mind, you want to follow the Buddha, you want to study the Dharma, you want to make association of the Dharma practitioners. And this if we are relying on these 3 like things, and then it's like we are correct ourselves, we are bring into our own correct path. It is very important. If we are like kind of follow the wrong guide, study wrong kind of subject matter, to make the wrong, like associate wrong friend, and then we are like kind of making problem ourselves. Maybe we become the killer, murderer, a drug addict, alcoholic, a doer of the 10 negative things. And then it's like the more going down, and then it's like all the time it's like we receive the sufferings. And we do negative things, well, then is the consequence is coming. We are crying, and we have like kind of the begging to say, please protect to me. But we need to become ourselves protector, and to really to listen to Buddha and study the Buddha's teaching, to rely on the compassionate practitioner of the Sanghas. And if we do like this, and 100% our path is all the times correct, and also select refugees, lot of benefit, and also select to take away the obstacle, hindrance, and purified, so on like this. And then in second chapters, chapter 2 now, it is like kind of arousing Bodhichitta, the root of the great vehicle. And this is like a Bodhicitta. It is like really the principal teaching of the Buddhas, and the principal course of in order to be the enlightenment, and therefore like very, very important. And this is the root of the great vehicle, means if we are follow the great vehicles, the basic foundation, the root, and like that is what it is. It's the arousing Bodhichitta. Arousing Bodhichitta, it is the very, very, very kind of the important. When we are like kind of have the vast attitude of the Bodhicitta, in the beginning we say it's like this: when if the Dharma we are the practicing is that of the lesser vehicle, it is will become the Dharma of the great vehicles. And also it's like when we are like kind of the maybe externally kind of the we are follow the lesser vehicle, but in our mind, it's the mind is enhanced. It's like kind of the arousing bodhicitta, and then we are automatically become the great vehicle, and like a kind of the lesser vehicle or the great vehicle, how it is comes from. In the teaching itself, Buddha's, there's no differentiations. But it's according to the practitioners, then there is the differentiations. For example, if you concern only to yourself, you only the practice Dharma, benefit for yourself, and that is become the lesser vehicles. But if your mind is like kind of the connect to the arousing bodhicitta, and like it's like the generating bodhicitta, exactly the same at the teaching of the great vehicles. Of course, you are the externally whatever you are manifested. It doesn't matter. You are the follower of the great vehicle. And therefore, it is the very important arousing bodhicitta. It is the root of the like Mahayana's teaching or the great vehicles. Then there is the Patrul Rinpoche's is kind of the prologue in the homage. It says like this: through your great wisdom, you have realized nirvana. Through your great compassion, you willingly embraced samsara. Through your skill in methods, you have realized that they are no different. Peerless teacher, at your feet I bow. And this is like kind of his bow or the homage, pray to his own teacher. And of course, he's like the principal teacher is the Jigme Ranyak. And of course, the main, the introducer or introducer of the natural reality, it is the Dzogchen. And like this, those peerless teachers at your feet I bows. Why Patrul Rinpoche is like a peerless teacher say? How it is that his teachers peerless, extraordinary. Why he is like kind of bow the teacher's feet? Because he saw the teachers like kind of the qualities. Teachers like kind of the wisdoms, and realized all the qualities of the nirvana. That means, and all the qualities of the enlightened, and the qualities of the enlightened beings, like kind of how much their qualities, like kind of the 5 kayas, 5 like wisdoms, so on. And he realized that he's a completely enlightenment, but also it's like he's according to his compassions, great compassions, he never kind of go to be in the nirvanas. He all the times willingly embrace it, like kind of the like holding and like kind of working and with in the samsaric sentient beings. And also it's like a kind of through his skill and the compassion, wisdoms, methods. Of course, himself he's realized the sameness of the samsara and nirvanas, and himself is that there's no differentiation of like samsara and nirvanas. And but in the other's point of you can to say he realized nirvana, he never ever kind of leave samsara. He's like kind of the enlightened activities, enter the samsara's emptiness, never kind of the stops, automatically, spontaneously, and extraordinary benefit for the samsaras. And this kind of to Patrul Rinpoche, see his teacher, peerless teachers, then he's kind of the bows. And that means is like first he bow to the peerless teacher and says, I'm going to explain about the Bodhicittas. Then is the second, it goes like this. This chapter has the 3 sections. Training the mind in the 4 boundless qualities, arousing Bodhichitta, the mind turned towards supreme enlightenment, and the training in the precepts of the Bodhicitta, in aspiration, and Bodhicitta in application. And this is like kind of the Bodhicitta itself, this chapter itself, there's 3 sections. I think these 3 sections or the 3 categorization, and it's very important to remember that. First time is training the mind. Training the mind is the 4 boundless qualities and qualities. The mind is we need to training, and in the relative point of view, it is a very important. Mind need education, and also it's like without educations, and it's a mind is automatically to generate like the great vehicles attitude, and like kind of the vast attitude of the Mahayanas, impossible. And in that perspective, we need to training our mind. How we can to training, and also it is like kind of here is the 4 boundless qualities. The 4 boundless qualities, and that is the like coming more in the duster. Maybe I don't need to explain theirs. We can go to chapter itself. Okay? And then is the first chapter is the training the mind, the 4 boundless qualities. The 4 boundless qualities are boundless qualities of love, boundless qualities of compassion, boundless qualities of sympathetic, joy, and boundless qualities of impartiality. Impartialities. And then is this is the 4 boundless qualities. We can do short love, compassion, joy, impartiality. And this is like a very, very important. And it's you can to say generally speaking, generally, and basically sometimes sentient beings has these qualities in the mind. Love you have, compassion you have, joy and impartialities. And this is like kind of, for example, if you love your children, if you love your parents purely, utterly means it's like maybe it's like worldly way. Maybe you concerning, you are totally love your parents or your children, your partners, and then you are concerning benefit for them. I need give to them food, clothes, shelter, and which kind of to make happiness. And also sometimes compassions. If they sick, if they problem, if there's you like kind of there is such a kind of doing to your family. Like there is the example here. For example, love is like kind of the birds to taking care of their own children. compassion, it is also it's like a kind of how do you say, it's like to equally to concern everybody's. And also joy is like there is examples like a camel and the babies. And impartiality is like kind of the sages and giving the food to the others. This kind of, we can to say, if you have one parents, you have 5 children, maybe you are equally to love, equally you have compassion, equally you have joy and impartialities. That is maybe it is you're not received teaching of the Buddhas, but you maybe automatically. For example, children's like equally love to the parents, equally has compassion to the parents. You don't say I love or I have compassion to mother, not really father. And also it's like children's maybe parents is happy, maybe you have rejoice, and also you have impartiality you have. And if you have this kind of, you have such and boundless qualities, and through this result you can to reborn higher realms, like kind of there's like 4 realms of the Brahmas, and when you reborn there's more long life, more like kind of you have like a prosperity and belonging, joy, everything like this. And this kind of our mind is to have basically love, compassion, joy, and the impartialities, and also is such and such qualities. Here is like much better than that. And we like kind of the reasonably, logically, and like profoundly, deeply, we are like connect to the love, compassion, joy, and partialities. Here is like the great kind of the bodhisattvas, like the vast attitude. And also it is like kind of the just Shambhan Gompa says, the Bodhicitta itself, the true goals, and also it is like a kind of the true aspect, and that is like a kind of the compassion aspect and the wisdom aspect, and compassion aspect concerning all the sentient beings, limitless sentient beings, and all whatever existence in the space, you concerning like this in the compassion perspective. And wisdom aspect, and you concerning benefit for them. It is not kind of the temporary happiness, temporary kind of the changeable happiness, thinking about the enlightened statement or state and the achievement. This is like kind of the true aspect, and it's necessary endowed with Bodhicitta. And that perspective, here we can to say love and compassion is the more and the compassion aspect. And it's like a sympathetic joy and impartiality, it is the more wisdom aspect. And for example, if you can to say it, you love, generally speaking, for example, is like kind of the, when we pray this, the generic Bodhicitta praise. Semchen tamchi deva ton devi jidon dembar chichi. Dungar ka jidon tarwa chichis. Dungar mepe deva tamba the mandarwa chichis. And like this, the nearing chodoni ton tarwa tonyam tsime pa nipa chichi is like the same. Love's point of view, you concerning the boundless, limitless sentient beings. You're not concerning your family, you're not only concerning your relative, friend, and everything's included, nothing excluded. Therefore, you call the love is the boundless. You concerning that, like kind of concerning the sentient beings, such there is qualities. And then it's like a kind of the you thinking the limitless sentient beings, and also you concerning like the limitless sentient beings, boundless sentient beings, and same times also you have boundless qualities of the accumulation merit, and like merit and the wisdoms, and therefore it is the greatest. And also it's a compassion perspective. Then you choose not only the concerning and for the boundless, like kind of the sentient beings, limitless sentient beings, you have such a love towards to all the sentient beings, could you concern it, but your compassion perspective, and you want to do something, like maybe more you are involved doing something benefit for the sentient beings. Maybe you are like kind of stop the 10 negative actions and practice the 10 positive actions, and doing the accumulation merit of the merit wisdoms. And that two things, you are thinking the limitless sentient being, doing the like kind of the limitless sentient beings. And also next one is like more wisdom aspect, as I said. For example, the sympathetic or the joyous, and you understand like kind of the through your compassions, and the you need to give such happiness to the sentient beings, and that perspective, what you are going to give to the sentient beings, you want to give sentient beings the qualities of the Buddhas, like qualities, enlightened qualities. And there is such a kind of qualities, and like kind of the go beyond all the samsaric sufferings to resolve the permanent happiness, and like kind of the like 10 powers, and like kind of the 4 fearless, unmixed the 18 qualities, so on, that you knows this sort of kind of the qualities you see, you want to give, you bring those limited sentient beings in that kind of the levels, you so happy, and also you discovered best kind of the happiness. For example, you say it's like okay, samsaric sentient beings, you bring some in the level of the higher realms, human beings, God realms, and that is you can to do it. But human realms, God realms, it is not forever. Maybe one day sentient beings to while stay there, maybe on they maybe again reborn in the samsaras. Then it's like you need again and again, and in this perspective, it is like they are temporary happiness. But you're the like kind of the why you are choice, sympathetic, because you discovered the enlightenment of the Buddhas, and like kind of the then is yes, if I'm like kind of the myself to be enlightenment, then I lead to those sentient beings to be in the state of the Buddhahood. That is the forever happiness. Then is you don't need to again to do something themselves is like kind of be enlightenment, like this. And also in impartialities. Impartialities is normally, of course, in the relatively impartiality of the friend, enemies, like equanimity. You sometimes say equanimity of the samsara, nirvanas. You like mind is concerning that this equanimities, it is like the, but actually it is the really the realization of the Buddhas. Buddha's realization is there are the impartial realities, like kind of the great equanimity. This in the perspective is there's the birth, death is equal, samsara nirvana is equal, happy, sorrow, and equal. There's nothing kind of equal in the nature on the realization of Buddha's perspective. Therefore, joy and like kind of the impartialities, it is the wisdom aspect and like concerning the more qualities and concerning the benefit and like this. And then is the love is usually dealt with the first, but when we are practice the four one of after the other as a training for the mind, we should start by the developing impartiality. Otherwise, whatever love, compassion, and sympathetic joy we generate will tend to be one-sided and are not completely pure. It is in this case, therefore, we begin with the meditation in impartialities. This is like kind of the pit instructions of the teachers. For example, generally, it's like the sequential or the order is like this. Start love, compassion, sympathetic joy, and impartialities. But in the coding the pit instruction, like experienced by the spiritual teachers, and like here is this is like a specific in the coding that these traditions, and the Patrul Rinpoche is like saying, yes, its order is like this, but first time you should start your mind training with like a impartiality. You should start by the developing in your mind impartialities. Why? Which kind of problem? Because otherwise, whatever you practice love, compassion, other like three others, it's like kind of you generate love, compassion, sympathetic joys, but it's like kind of the be one-sided, say, partiality. It is like kind of the coming like kind of the it doesn't come the even-minded, like kind of the equally to concern the sentient beings, therefore one-sided and not completely pure, because it's like you generate bodhicitta, love for compassion, sympathetic joy, or impartialities only become one-sided, then it is not really pure. In this case, first times or the beginning, very important, meditating on the impartialities. And therefore we are first going to study the meditation on the impartiality, meditation on impartiality. And also impartialities, like for example, when we want to practice meditation, and meditation is very important. First, we need education, what we are going to meditate. And nothing education, like you don't know how to meditate, what you are going to meditate. And therefore, this here is our mind is training or meditate on the four boundless qualities. And in that perspective, we need to first study four boundless qualities. It is the principle, like the vast attitude of the Bodhisattvas, the great vehicles. And then it's like according to the pit instructions, we are first to study or the meditation on the impartiality, why we need to generate bodhicitta. That is we are going to study. Impartiality, there is In Tibetan, we call the Tong and Nyam. And Tong Nyam in Tibet. That means giving up. Tong means giving up. Giving up. The giving, Tong means is the giving up. What you are giving up? You're giving up the hatred for the enemies and like kind of how to say, it is or desire to your friends. It's like infatuation with the friends. Infatuation, and that means it's like a hatred to the enemies and attach to the with like friends. This sort of dualistic mind, partialities, you're more concerning like your friend, and you are like kind of more hesitated to your enemies. This kind of idea you are giving up. You want to give up. That means it's like the tong. Tong means to give up or to like kind of the to send, descend or the like send or the get rid of. Something like this. And that is like kind of having even-minded. Even-minded is the Nyam. Nyam means even-minded. Even-minded, it doesn't matter enemies or the friends. Our mind's point of view, we need even-minded, both of enemies and friends. And attitude towards all beings. Here is like Nyam means you are making the even-minded enemies, friends. Even-minded of the samsara and nirvanas. Even-minded of the birth and death. Even-minded of happy and sufferings. And this kind of the, you're making your mind even-minded. And we need like kind of this sort of we need. Nyam means being free of the attachment. That's you, because you give up, attached to your friend, those close to us, and aversion for those who are distant. This is enemy. You are like kind of, your mind is free from aversion towards to your enemies. And this sort of how we can to come it is, we need to analyze, we need to study how it is that become the even-minded or the same as the friend and enemies. Generally speaking, my enemies, my friend is friend. I love my friend need happiness, but my enemies doesn't need. That is wrong. Maybe my friend means my father, my mother. Maybe it's like kind of the enemies. Maybe it's like currently you are saying enemies, but who knows? There is such a coming up the histories. And like this. And then it's as things are now is we start to study. And how it is like a kind of why we are to practice that. As things are now, and it's like these days, also, we are very attached to those we think of as a part of our own group, father and mother, relatives, and so on. So on, you have brother, sisters, and all your relative things. These are very much we are attached to say, my father, my mother, my relative, my brother, my sister, my friend. And it's like kind of, while we feel on intolerable aversion towards our enemies, and those associated with them. And also it's like kind of, we have very much anger, like kind of the aversions. Intolerant means it's like unacceptable towards our enemies, and those like kind of the whoever associate like kind of the company or the making the friends you're with enemies. You say okay, this person is before my friend, now this person is become the friend of my enemies, now anymore not my friend, I'm hated, like this kind of associate with them. This is the mistakes. Now it's like that's your big kind of the mistake. Why? And then there is explanation, wonderful way the explanations. This is big, we can say mistake in the Dharma perspective. Really in the Buddha's teachings perspective, we big mistake. Who is the father, who is the mother, who is the relative, like this. This is like a reality, it's like difficult to say. In the beginning of this text, when the explanation of the vast attitude of the Bodhicitta, it says, there is no single sentient being's existence without to be our father, mother, brother, sister, partner, and relatives. And that perspective, it is like all the sentient beings, we have such a kind of the connected. And then why you are concerning the partialities like this. And therefore, it's like this is the really big kind of the mistake. And come from a lack of the investigation. That is the truth. We cannot to investigate and to study, to analyze, then is our mind is very much closed, like kind of the closed mind, narrow mind, like kind of the vegan mind, and like kind of intellectual minds. This sort of the minds only concerning says myself. For example, we can to say my family, my friend, my father, mother, brother, sisters. Okay, that is your universal, your own around. My father, my mother, my brother, my sisters. Then you go to deeply inside, and then you are very much concerned yourself. Then you more deeply, you look at our minds. Our mind is very much self-centered. In a case, in our family situations, something important, something is like kind of each individual families, they are greeting, I need it, and like kind of the difficult to share it. Sometimes difficult to share because with children and parents, children, father and mothers, difficult to share which is best I need. Of course we need families, but in the family situations also I need the best. This is we call the like kind of the self-centered. All the times I. Now maybe this I, it is the really our perspective, it is the poison. This concerning I want me, je. Me, it is like really in the beginningless, maybe you say it's like, we don't know it. But in this life, since you're born, you start to talk, you start to be in the kindergarten, then you're talking about me, I need, I want, I. And this kind of self-centered, it is this kind of comes from the ignorant, of course, and it's all everything is problems comes from the self-centered. Like I'm important, I am like kind of the intelligent, I need all the best things. Doesn't matter, you die, you seek, and I need it. Of course, generally said, I love my father, mother. Why? Maybe they can to help me. Maybe if father and mother is big problems, maybe that times your love is gone. You not anymore love. Difficult. Better to die quickly, to put into the hospice. And we cannot look after to them. But parents is very healthy. Parents is help give to you. And then it's like you say, I love father, mother. Why? Reality, you concerning benefit for yourself. Like same as the couples is like this. Oh, I love you. Because it's like you receive some benefit. You don't receive the benefit. It's the other one partner is problems. And then slowly you hesitated. You want to give up and to get rid. And this sort of, like a brother and sisters, you help each other. It's very much love each other. And one is problems, not much benefit you received, then your love is gone. But in the you receive the teaching of this, you concerning the other sentient beings, same as we are. And then your love and your compassion, your kindness forever. And then it's like pure. Therefore we need investigations. We have stopped? Yes? Yeah, that's no problem. We are free. Okay, it's how many normally? 15 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Stop.